Howdy y'all, it's Aaron here, and in this episode, I want to share with you how to recession-proof your clothing store. As always, make sure that you grab something to take notes with and stick around until the end where I'm going to share with you practical and actionable steps to keep you moving forward in your business no matter what's happening in the economy. All right, so number one is to make a plan. If you've been in business anywhere post 2008 to 2012, then you haven't really ran a business when the economy was adjusting through a recession. We can also throw out the whole virus thing too, because during that period, clothing stores were actually thriving because of supply and demand. Now, this is not a YouTube video filled with doom and gloom because I am an optimistic person. I think the question goes something like, is the glass half full or half empty? But I think the perspective should be, I'm just happy that there is a glass. Okay, so now your plan. What should this include? I'm glad you asked. Best and worst case scenario for your revenue over the next 12 to 18 months. The good news for you, no recession has ever lasted 18 months. What would be the first thing you would cut to save cash flow? The nice to have, but not the must haves. Create a budget, and if that budget allows, get rid of any debt. You can sleep better at night knowing you don't owe anyone anything. Plus, you have an unfair advantage when I share with you some of the next strategies later in this video. All right, before we cover number two, I just wanted to say howdy. My name is Aaron. I'm one of the co-founders here at Bit Branding, and we're an e-commerce growth agency that specializes in helping clothing stores grow and scale profitably online. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of the latest strategies for clothing stores. We drop new content every single week. All right, so number two is to diversify where you get your traffic and sales. Most clothing stores have one, maybe two ways that they generate revenue. And I'm not saying you need to have 6 or 7, but I do think a healthy amount is 3 to 4. If you're generating 90% of your revenue from one source and that source dries up, that will cripple your business. Now, don't panic, start planning now. No matter when you are watching this video, it's never too late to start diversifying. A few areas we highly recommend you check out to increase your sales are, number one, live social selling. Check out the link in our description called CommentSold. This is a 30-day free trial for you to really jump into a live selling platform. They have an app and just a really diversified way for you to reach your audience and have them be able to purchase very quickly. I think they tout themselves as like make $300 a minute. It's a crazy amount of how much it can actually help your business. Number two is email marketing. We really like Klaviyo for e-commerce, but really whatever you use is completely fine. Klaviyo is the powerhouse built specifically for e-commerce, but whether you use MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or anything else, that's completely fine. Just start using your email marketing. Number three, TikTok. We suggest right now, this is a great way for you to grow organically. What we suggest is 3 posts per day. And I know that's a lot of work, but if you are looking at ways to diversify that doesn't cost you more money and still want to reach a large amount of people, right now, TikTok is an amazing platform for you to be able to do that. All right, so number 4 in this is organic SEO or search engine optimization. This is a long-term play, but it has a big payoff. Again, start with this now when we're quote unquote not in a recession. Or could potentially be heading into one or whatever else, but start that now. This is the payoff that has the big effects, but after 6 months, 9 months, after a year, the longer it goes on, the more valuable it becomes to you. It is one of those things where it's like your retirement, your Roth IRA, your 401k, that is the piece that will help you beat out your competition no matter what is going on, because you will continuously grow. And if you're like any other clothing store, you probably haven't paid any attention to this platform. So the competition is high, but if you can carve out your piece in the market, you're going to beat a lot of your competition. All right, so the 5th one here is social media marketing. You're likely doing this because you're watching this channel, but diversify where you are doing it, right? So you run ads on Facebook and Instagram because it's the most logical choice for your clothing store. But something to also be checking out is TikTok ads, because right now they are not as effective, but the cost is much lower. So it's really on an even playing field and gets to reach a new audience and new eyeballs who may not have ever found you, especially if you go with the TikTok organic strategy and then you add in the ads. It's a really good combination for you to start to grow and reach more people. Now, my one suggestion to you is to focus on adding one of these things that I mentioned right now. Not all of them. You really should be focusing on dominating in an area and then moving on to the next. Don't try to overwhelm yourself because these all sound like really nice, shiny objects. But what you need to do is just pick one and then continually get better at each one of them over time. And I promise you, it will build a nice framework, a nice base for you to kind of lift off from as you continue to add new elements. All right, so number 3 is to clarify your messaging and who your clothes are for. The right clothes to the wrong person, or the wrong message to the wrong person, or the right message to the wrong person doesn't really work. The right clothes to the wrong person is a huge waste of time and money. You need to be so clear with who you're creating those clothes for and who your messages is for, because there's so many people out there. The competition is so high, and especially during a recession, you have to convince somebody or have to persuade somebody to make a decision on choosing you versus somebody else. I will tell you that most clothing stores are creating brands for themselves, and such, you should be really answering this question for yourself. So think about it. If you created this clothing store, you know the customer because the customer is you. So answer the questions that you have, go after missions that you are passionate about, because it's really hard to start to sell something that you don't care about or you don't actually wear. I've sat down with more people recently who actually wear their own clothes, but a lot of times I would sit down with somebody and they're like, well, I'm selling these clothes. I'm like, well, do you like them? Have you ever tried them? Have you ever worn them? Oh, no, I'm just trying to make money. That's never gonna work, right? The conversation usually ends pretty quickly where they have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what kind of clothes they actually want to create, because just putting, a mom on a picture or a location like LA or New York because they happen to be from there, but they don't really care and they're just trying to sell a shirt, it does not work, because there's too many people out there. Maybe 10 years ago that worked, or 5 years ago that would work, but not today. So why do you buy from a clothing store? Really ask yourself that question. What makes you actually check out when you're on the fence? And honestly, like, we always talk about website conversion, but if you're so passionate about the product and the product is so amazing, people will check out. I remember I was supporting a cause, it was called like the Shop Forward, and their website is atrocious. Now, I'm sorry if you're watching this video, the website just really needed a lot of work, but I was so passionate about helping the group that I spent extra time on it and bookmarked it, and it took me 10 minutes to figure out where the checkout was and to pick my size and then to actually check out. Like I said, it was horrible, but they're still doing well because their mission behind it is so powerful that they could really just have a really bad checkout experience, and that actually trumped everything. So what can you do to get behind and create content or create shirts that are so good, or a clothing store that is so good that people really don't care about the checkout experience because they want to buy the shirt at all costs? So let's jump into a few examples of clothing stores that have figured out their messaging and what you can learn from them. So the first one I want to show is the one I mentioned earlier, which is the Shop Forward. Their whole messaging, as you can see here, is total raise. Since November 2014, they've raised $5 million for causes they support. So people can create shirts, put it on the site, and then sell the shirt because it has a traffic. So think of it as like Etsy or an Amazon who has traffic, but then the Shop Forward gets a percentage, the organization gets a percentage, so it's a win-win. The Shop Forward obviously provides the traffic, and then the store owners have to fulfill. You can see right now something very relevant, which is like the Ukraine relief. There's a Haiti fundraiser. There's a Pimp and Joy, which I don't know what that exactly is, but they're really high quality products. I don't think that they let anything in here that isn't high quality, but the cool thing is that the site to me is just not good. Like, there is no clear call to action. This is just a graphic that just says shop now, and then some really weird tote bags that have an emoji on them. It's a very simple, here's the products, go and buy, and the people who know about it know because the organizations have spread the awareness from it. So really cool. And they've really gotten down their messaging of, hey, you come here to buy for people to support an organization, and that's what we do. We're not here to do a bunch of other things. We're really here to just sell that product. And I think the shirt that I bought, there hasn't been any upsells, there hasn't been anything else that's even followed up, which I think the customer service side, they could probably do a little bit better, but there wasn't even anything that said did you enjoy this product, which is interesting. And I honestly don't care about it as much, but I am glad I paid that money. I am happy with the product, which is a big piece. But so that's one good example. Another one here is something Christian put on here, which is United by Blue. And what's cool about them is there's shop for women, shop for men, accessories, living, home decor items. They're really cool, mugs and candles. But up at the very top, a huge piece of real estate for them is sustainability. So they talk about joining a cleanup, their ethical manufacturing, be certified, which is a very tough and rigorous process for you to be able to join the ranks, I would say, as far as showing that you're actually doing what you say you're doing, in the sense of like, we actually care about the environment. There's just a lot of things that go into actually becoming B certified, but they actually have that B certification in that process. It's not like you sign up once and you show that you did well. It's actually a lot of work to be able to do that. So what they also show here is pounds of trash removed, which this looks to be like 4 million, I think, 4 million pounds of trash. So this is a big part of their website. Why we do it, a measurable impact, products, but this is serving people who actually care about the ocean, care about our earth, and they're buying products from that. Now, so the products are not cheap, but what you do remember is from people who actually care about causes, they will pay a little bit more. For example, this shirt is $80, this flannel is $80, these shoes are $125, which is not too bad. T-shirt, $36, so just a little bit more. I feel like there's normal prices, and then they add a little bit of a cushion to help with the sustainability part, which everybody should feel pretty good about doing, right? I'll pay an extra $5 or $6 knowing that this is going to something that I care about and somebody's helping for something bigger. All right, so God is Dope, pretty self-explanatory on who their messaging is for. Again, the site, not really a big fan as far as like what's all going on. There's so many different things. 20 plus new designs starting at $3.99. Their marketing is really good as far as like what their strategy is to get into the people's hands. They just literally want to get as many people wearing their clothing items as possible and as many people talking about them as possible. But they do have shirts here, like hoodies that are $15 here, but they're just strictly a volume play. But the whole point for this is that they're very clear on who their messaging is for, right? So this is their religion or their spirituality is literally in the name. Then as far as the products that they go to, they're all words of like affirmation or words that are specific to the Christian religion. So it's straight up who are we marketing to, and we are not afraid to say this and get in front of as many people as possible who happen to believe the same things that they do. So really cool. Like I said, the site, not great. It's literally just a bunch of clothes on here. I don't even think that they have, let's see if they don't even have models, right? There's not even any like actual great product photos. So all the things we tell you about a site kind of go out the window here when the messaging is so clear and who this is for. People kind of disregard that a little bit and check out and still make the brand work because the messaging is so powerful. Before we jump into those examples, I wanted to tell you about our free masterclass training for clothing stores that will walk you through the 5 pillars that you must have in place for your online store to scale consistently and profitably, no matter what is going on in the world, especially during a recession. If you want access to this free training, make sure you check out the link in the description below. All right, so number 4 is to spend more. If we can go into some kind of recession, I promise you that most people will freak out. And what happens when people freak out? They make not so good choices. And one of those big mistakes is that they cut out their marketing or advertising that's actually driving their sales right now. When an economy goes down, yes, consumer spending typically follows, but so does supply. Most clothing store owners will stop advertising and become very conservative with their marketing, which gives them an opportunity to take more of the pie. Imagine being able to acquire more customers at a discount. That is what happens when you focus on staying the course and everyone else is swaying. Remember, the change in the economy is not a forever thing, right? The longest has been 18 months. And honestly, we typically don't know for about 6 months until after we are in a recession that we are actually in one. So just a quick economist notion for you, right? A recession happens when there's been 2 consecutive quarters. So like literally 6 months of consecutive quarters where the numbers have actually been down, right? We don't have to go into like specific details, but 2 consecutive quarters. So we have those 2 consecutive quarters, and then economists will say we're in a recession. So we could have been going through it for 6 months and then we find out. Heck, we could be in one right now and literally not know. So one big mistake that clothing stores make is if they do continue to advertise, they don't really have a budget. They really have no way of determining how much they should be spending each month. So if you need help determining your advertising budget, then you need to check out our free calculator. Just comment the word calculator in the comments down below and we'll send over the link to you. It's absolutely free. Let me show you some ads that are still doing really well right now so that you can use them as inspiration to start a new campaign no matter what is happening in the economy, whether we're in a recession when you're watching this video or not. these are ones that are still doing amazing, and I'm going to talk about some details of those. All right, so some campaigns that are still working right now are our live selling campaigns. Now, the cost per website purchase has gone up just a little bit. Like I said, it's a weird time where things are going on overseas. Inflation is going a little crazy. So like we see some volatility with our advertising, which like we said, you should always diversify, but continue to advertise. So campaigns that are still doing well, that have a really low cost per acquisition, which that's what we're focused on, just as a side note. Our return on ad spend is important, but as long as we acquire a customer for the amount that we suggest, like for example, if the client says that we need to acquire a customer for $20, we'll spend up until that $20 to acquire that customer, because our goal is to acquire as many as possible, knowing that the rest of our systems still work. So let me phrase that in a different way. If we can use advertising to acquire that customer for $20, but we know that email and SMS will make more money for us, or live selling will make more money for us in the next 30 days, and that customer is worth $200, then we will spend $20 every single day and try to spend as much as we can to acquire as many customers as possible at $20, knowing that in 30 days they're worth $200, $300, $400 to us. So live selling still working really well. This is the last 7 days. There has been, let's see here, a total of 18 purchases. Let's scroll over here. Unique purchases, there's been 10, 14 offline, which means that it's probably purchased through the app. And then the actual cost per purchase was $13. Cost per unique purchase, $24.52. So unique customers, meaning that like it's, Aaron bought one time and we have 10 other ones, but 14 people, so 4 people actually bought twice, or 12 people actually bought a couple more than that. But anyway, the cost per purchase was $13, well below what we're targeting. And say for this example is $20. This particular customer is actually a little bit different than 20, but for this, like I said, let's go with 20. So cost per purchase, $13.62. This is the ad sets that we're going after. Show you behind the scenes here. The audiences we're going after here are 180 days of people who have used the app, downloaded the app, 180 days of website traffic, 180 days of Instagram, and 180 days of Facebook, and 180 days of other warm audiences. Now, we turned off the 180 days of warm audiences because it was a combination of all of them. We separated each one of these out and then let Facebook choose between it. We set up this campaign as a CBO, which is a campaign budget optimization, which means the budget is going to be distributed how Facebook chooses. Now, one thing to note here that we are making a change of as of right now is extending these date ranges as much as possible. So Instagram and Facebook, we can do 365. So we're going to extend those date ranges out past this point. So 180 days. So now we're going to basically double this amount of range to include more people into this net of people we're targeting. Now, what are the ads? The ads, very simply, are the live sales that are going on currently. So there's live selling that they're doing. They're going live on their Facebook, on their Facebook group. Instagram is actually a place where you can go live now for CommentSold. And what we're doing is they are showing that product to those customers when they go live, and we are promoting that live to more customers who may not have seen it and did not show up live, and we run those until they're not profitable, really, and add in as many as possible, and then just continue to raise that budget. And like I said, the cost per purchase is still extremely low. No matter what is going on with the economy, these are typically campaigns that are much lower cost. Now, what I will say is you have to have other campaigns in place, because this is going after your warm audience, which you should be doing, but don't put all of your eggs into one basket. This is just one example of a campaign that's still doing really well, even if there's volatility in the market. So you may have a top of funnel or a prospecting campaign that has $60 purchases or $50 purchases, and then this one has 12 or 13, and they level each other out as far as, okay, which one is actually getting the purchases and which one it isn't, and like what's the average between the two of them, so you can continue to grow your clothing store. All right, y'all, I do want to let you in on one major secret that is helping us give more data back to Facebook or Meta and almost every other tool out there, and to get better results. So more data equals better results equals better decisions, especially if you're trying to compete with somebody else who's on a similar playing field. So we're using a tool called TripleWell for all of our clients and group coaching members. And this powerhouse allows us to see the lifetime value of a customer over 30, 60, and 90 days, so you don't have to calculate it on your own. But what I'm most excited about is the estimated action rate of customers. So imagine being able to send out a timely email or run ads to customers who are likely to buy from you a second or third time, and knowing exactly when to send those marketing messages. It is extremely powerful, and it's really been a game changer for us and taken a lot of the headache out of us trying to calculate these numbers manually. So if you're interested in Triple Whale, check out the link in the description down below. All right, I'm wishing you all nothing but success right now, especially if the economy is not looking that great. This is your video. Hopefully you use this and come back to it. But if you liked this video and want to get even more in depth on your advertising and just growing your clothing store, make sure you check out this video next, and we will see you in the next video.